Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to our call for tonight. And if you can hear me, please put the letter Y in the question box and I'll know you can hear me. And we will get started pretty much right away. I won't be keeping you long tonight. We're just doing an orientation tonight, let you know what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. Thank you, Dana. And this is the PLR Hackathon 2.0. And what we're doing is we're going through the setup process, primarily we make your video and your audio content and to get through from start to finish. So all of this has really changed since the first time I did it. I did this back in 2017. And when I did it in 2017, I was a little green, but it's pretty much the focus has now changed, especially with AI. I think it would have been different even if AI had not been the case. And I'd already decided to do another hackathon. But the fact that we now have this, it's going to make this a little more. I think I'm going to say there might be more than 4 sessions just because of the nature of AI. But I'm going to try to keep this down to 30 minutes. I think I pretty much got it down to where I can teach this in 4 sessions at 30 minutes, and hopefully I'll be able to hold to that and won't have to go over to additional sessions. But we may have to go over a session or two. And as always, what I will say to you is that if you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the box or in the chat area, and we will just kind of go from there. So as I said, tonight's going to be more of a orientation than anything else. And what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks is we're going to be doing the PLR setup and leverage process. And when I say that, I mean basically taking all the assets you have and making them available for what you want them for. And that's one of the best things about PLR, and none of us could have anticipated, those of us who create PLR, that people would have the tools that they have available to them to make it easier to turn some of these things into new formats almost instantly. And so now that you have these options, depending on what your business model is, you can change anything into any other form that you want, just as long as you understand the technical process. And so if you understand this, then you're going to be able to pretty much take any content that you have that's old or new and update it. One of the things I have been saying for a long time, and I'm going to get to this probably in another session, is there never is really going to be anything. Uh, uh, um, I would say there's never any such thing as outdated PLR, especially now, because now you have AI tools to bring it up to date. So even if you have stuff that's going back 10 years and you bought this stuff from someone, depending on how you can change the format, it's all usable because you can actually put it inside of an AI and say, bring this up to date for today's audience, or for 2020 whatever you are in. So whatever your old PLR is, don't get rid of it. It's all going to be relevant. It's all usable now, and it's all going to be I think relevant for you to take and give to your customers in the form that they want it. So let's talk about what this is going to be about. It's going to be about ironing out all the technical details in the PLR setup. And that's everything from the content to the graphics to the pages. And even that's changed over the course of years. I think when I first got started, and a lot of PLR sellers first got started, a lot of people were really relying on HTML pages. And although people still use the pages, I don't think people really have to do HTML pages anymore. So a lot of things have really changed. And so we're going to be ironing out all these technical details in whatever the setup process is going to be. And what I will say to you is that I've given you a course to use while you do this. You don't have to use that course. If you've already got something that you want to take and turn into something that you want to be sellable, or you have some kind of asset you want to make it usable, you can use that and follow along. All that I would say is that you do need to follow along. You need to do something and really take this opportunity to make a project out of this. And I think that'll be the most beneficial for you in terms of using the content. There are always going to be 2 areas for you to ask questions during this period. One is a mastermind area. I'm going to put that in our online forum, and that's going to be only during the period of time that that we're doing these live sessions. So anytime you have there, you can feel free to write a question in there, and I will answer it. And typically, what's going to happen is you're going to find that there are other marketers who have who have experience. They're probably going to be chiming in there too. But even if they don't, if you have a question about something that I say in the session, then please write the question in there. And if you give me a day or so, I will make sure to answer your question. Area number 2 is going to be right where the video is going to be inside of Harper Academy. That will go and extend beyond these 4 sessions. So, if you're watching this and you're saying, well, hey, I want to ask a question, but but um, the form is closed for the product because the sessions are over. You can still ask that question inside of the question area, and so either of those places, I will be responding to you there. Now, if there's something that doesn't work right, something that you can't get to, something you feel like you should have that you don't have, something that you want to get access to, write me in support. Right? So if you've got a support issue, right, it's not based on something you're trying to do with your PLR or something I said in the session, then write me in support. And you can do that at that support address. You can do that by going to the support website. Right? So either way is going to be fine. Um, this is not the strategy session, so I'm not going to get into strategy during this particular session. I may touch on it, but and only as a function of getting the technical part done. If you need strategy, we do have PLR, and we do have a mastermind set up for that. That's our 52-week mastermind course. You get PLR rates with that. That's to build an online brand, teach your customers the same. And if you want access to that, just write me in support. I think I'm going to make sure that there's a URL inside of the course area. You've probably seen it before, but recently we have expanded it to also include a mastermind. So again, please feel free to write me if you don't have access to it and you need to. Basically, it's designed to help you to build out your own brand and then go through a process where you can teach your own customers. And so if you go through the process yourself, what you'll be doing is developing your own unique process. You won't be doing the same thing I'll be doing. By the time that you go through the entire session, you will have developed your own process. It'll be a 52-week session, and you'll be able to deliver it over the course of a year. So what we're going to be doing is going through the technical process. That's what we're going to be doing in this session. So basically, we're trying to get through setting up your PLR for whatever the purpose is. And we're going to focus primarily, of course, on audio and video because written content is pretty easy to do. You're gonna, we may go over that a little bit, but you probably already know these tools. And again, AI makes a lot of this very simple. Basically, you're going to be rewriting some of this content. You're going to be recasting it into Adobe, right? You're going to be casting it into PDFs. Some of it you will be turning it into audio, and that we will be going over. So we'll be talking about some of that during the session. But primarily, though, written content's pretty easy to work with. I don't think you probably struggle with anything like that. However, if there's something that you'd like to see us cover about written content, about turning that PLR into something that's going to be sellable or sellable asset, then write me, and then we'll do a session about that. And so we're going to focus primarily on video and audio PLR assets, as well as turning the written content into video and audio. So that's what we're going to focus on. And again, now, if you want to do written, I'm happy to do it. But most people already sort of know what they're going to do with written content, what they get in terms of PLR. And it's not too hard to figure out what to do with that. I don't think you need a hackathon for that, but I'm happy to do that if that's what you desire. And as I've said and I hinted at, as where we can use AI, we will use it to do a lot of the heavy lifting. That's the difference between the hackathon we did back in 2017 and the one we're doing today. I mean, a lot of the heavy lifting we can do with AI. It's like, for example, I mean, if you have, let's just say you have a PLR article or you have PLR swipes, You can just pretty much put those things in as they are into one of the AIs. You can put it in Bing, you can put it in Google, you can put it in Chat GPT, you can put them in any of them. And then you can say, well, hey, can you rewrite this? And you rewrite this for a specific audience. It can do that, right? So a lot of the stuff that where we can use AI to use some of that, do some of the heavy lifting, we'll do it. And that's something that you want to take advantage of. It's really at this point, it's not going away. I think at the beginning of this, I know a lot of I would see people say, it's gonna pass, and eventually it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna pass, and it's gonna be more a part of our business and our lives. So you and I really do have to embrace it and use it where we can, and then teach our customers to do the same. So what are you going to need during the hackathon? You're going to need a way of editing video. So you can be using Camtasia, you can be using DaVinci, you can use as long as you have a way that you're familiar with. And so we're going to touch on a few of them, but you do need to have some kind of system to edit video. That's going to be very important for this session. I recommend that you use Camtasia, but Camtasia I think is if you don't have it, the price can be spicy, and it doesn't necessarily incorporate AI. Although as of I think it's been a little while, and I just realized this. Camtasia or TechSmith has something they call Audiate, right? Audiate, and it incorporates AI into some of the Camtasia features that you have. It's an additional subscription. I think it's another $200. So I don't know, a lot of people are going to be doing it, but it is available. So Camtasia is doing AI. Um, and so if you just want to stick with TechSmith in terms of your editing, you're going to need a way of editing audio. Again, now personally, I use Camtasia, but you can also use whichever one you're most comfortable with. Microsoft Clipchamp is now free. You can edit audio there. You can use, of course, Audacity. That's what most people use because it's free. And there were some rumors, I think, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago, that basically that Audacity was spyware. I don't know whether that's necessarily true. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory or anything like that. I think there were some issues around their privacy, but I think they've cleared those up. But so if you have a way of editing audio, again, I personally use Camtasia. You can use a way that's most comfortable with you. You can use Descript. I know a lot of people use Descript now, as long as you have a way. And we're going to be going over a couple of ways here in the hackathon. We're going to talk about HTML pages. I know marketers still do. I still do pass them along. I know people still use them, but most people are using some kind of page builder. So we're going to focus on the page builder and getting the content into the page builder. Um, so I will briefly touch on HTML pages, and but again, people are just not necessarily using them the way they used to. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on those kinds of pages. However, if it's something that you feel like you'd like to see me spend more time on it, I certainly will. Um, Quite a bit of the work, as I said, that we'll be doing with your sales copy, whether you get that sales copy from the PLR vendor or you're trying to start it and write it from scratch, going to be using AI for that process. So, and if you're teaching your customer to write copy from scratch, you need to teach them the fundamentals, but you may want to show them how to use AI in order to help them to write copy. So in order to rewrite some of the copy, in order to rework some of the copy, and sort of repurpose some of the copy from the PLR vendor, we are going to focus on using AI for that process, just so that you'll know. And you should already have an autoresponder. So that's necessary. So, and it can be the lowest possible tier. As long as you have one and you're putting your list members, you're putting your subscribers in there. So you do need to have an autoresponder. You should already have an idea of what the people you want to sell to, what they want to buy. So again, this is not a strategy course. It's not a marketing course. So that's just something you should already know how to do. You should already know your market pretty well. Again, if that's something that you want to have help with, or you want to get our PLR in order to do that, that's our new marketer workshop live sessions, 52-week session where we go through that. But again, you should already have an idea of what your niche wants to buy. You should have some way of creating some kind of content on a regular basis. I mean, a blog or podcast or YouTube. So one of those or all of them. All right. So one of those, two of them, or all of them, you should be doing that, or you should at least be able to do it. I'm not saying you have to have this thriving YouTube channel or blog or podcast or anything like that, but you should have the means to do that. And because that's going to be important to getting your product in motion for sale. You should have a social media platform that you rely on. It doesn't have to be all of them. It could be YouTube, it could be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, one of them, or TikTok. And so however you want to do it, you should probably have one of those that you're working with. And it's not going to kill you if you don't, as long as you have an autoresponder and you have a traffic and you have some way of getting people into your list, just as a show of hands, right? So just so that I'll know, how many, if I were to ask you, how many of you have a list? So if you have a list that you're already emailing on a regular basis, please put the number 1 in the question box. If you are not, but you're trying to build that, please put the number 2 in the question box, just so I'll know. And I'm the only one who can see your answers, I think. So so that'll be that. So again, so if that's something that you're still kind of working on, that's fine. And please, during this process, I mean, you're an adult, right? I can't tell you what to do, and I'm not your boss or anything like that. But please don't go buy anything. I may show you some things, but please don't feel like you got to go buy something. Like I just talked about Camtasia, don't go buy it until you determine, well, that's exactly what you need in order to do some of the things we're going to be talking about. So please, just for now, if you've got some things that are free that you're already using, don't go buy anything. In fact, I mean, if you just wanted to record video, you can actually use something like Open Broadcast System that doesn't necessarily edit it for you. But there are always going to be ways to do some of these steps, but just during the hackathon, let's just don't go buy software, because that's not the idea of this. The idea of this for you is for you to go through the process of getting this PLR remade into something that you want. You do need to have a way, an idea of how you want to deliver your product. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. There are 10,000 ways of being able to put somebody into a product. You need to have the way you want to do it. You may want to use some kind of SaaS membership, and you may want to have a membership where you put them inside of a membership site in some kind of SaaS. And you may want to use a WordPress base, like you might want to use Wishlist Member and Optimize Press and stuff, and platforms like that. You can do it that way. So again, you do need to have something. You can use a course platform. Yeah, we deliver our courses in Teachable. You can use something like that. You can use Teachable, Thinkific, Learn Worlds. Doesn't really matter. Just as long as you have some way that you can reliably deliver your customers into. If you are going to be writing books, now again, it's kind of hard to do that, to do an audio presentation, but you can put audio inside a Kindle. You can put video inside a Kindle. It's not conventional, but some people do it. And as I understand it, there's something called lit video books, right? And they're doing something with multimedia books. You may do a physical product. You may deliver people into an online community platform. I know that both Circle and Mighty Networks, they give you the ability to deliver online courses. I'm not a big fan of Circle's online course platform. I know we just put one of our masterminds in there. I'm not liking that, and I'm probably going to go over to a forum from that course platform and just ask them to just kind of turn that off for me. But again, you don't have to do it the way I do it. You don't even have to like what I like. If you like delivering people into a community platform and you like the Circle course platform, then that's what you use, right? So whatever you have, just use it. And I don't recommend that you put people inside of a Facebook group if they're paying you. But if you have to do it, then do it, right? So again, I don't like it, but again, I know people like to use Facebook groups for any number of reasons. And there are some good reasons that you can get attention in ways you can't do otherwise. I don't recommend hosting your videos on YouTube. Please don't do that unless you just really feel like you have to. But there are a lot of reasons why but please find a video host for your content. Dropbox, you got to be really careful in putting products inside of Dropbox. And one of the reasons is that Dropbox will throttle your account if you get too much traffic. They'll throttle all your account. So if you're delivering, let's say, 2 different products, let's say that you have this big weekend, and all of a sudden, you get a lot of traffic. Dropbox, depending on how much it is, they will shut down your links and shut down your whole account for a couple of days, right? And so you got to be careful with Dropbox, and any other platform is going to be like that. Now, what I will say about the course platform, please don't obsess about it. Whatever you have one of these, just use that, right? So don't, you can go back to this later, and you can always go back and say, hey, I like this better, or I like product Dino, or doesn't matter, right? Whatever you want to do, for the sake of the hackathon, pick one and let's just use it so you get your product set up. So don't obsess about this, because I know internet marketers, and I know who we are, and we love to obsess about tools, and we can get off we can get off onto a tangent about that, and that's not the point of this. So again, don't obsess about the platform. One thing you're going to have to do, and we're going to close it out here, is you got to understand what the rights are. And I'm going to kind of leave it here. And even though there probably should be, I mean, there's no universal body that says resale rights mean this, and PLR rights mean this, and resale rights mean this, or any of those things, right? So you got to read the right certificate. So I don't think there's any agreement on what all these terms mean. So read each right certificate to determine what you can and cannot do. That is a rule. You must do that. That's even if you think you understand what it says. Read each individual right certificate to determine what you can and cannot do. Right? I want to say that over and over again so that you get it. Not just for my sake, but for every vendor that you deal with. Understand what it is. Now, typically, you're going to be able to look at the sales page before you buy it. Should do that anyway, right? You should really be looking at the sales page before you buy it to determine what the rights are. But failing that, when you get inside of the product, the first thing you need to do is get the right certificate and read it. That's vital. And if you don't understand, and sometimes you can read a right certificate. I've encountered this. I can read a right certificate and I can be more confused than I was when I started reading it. It happens, right? So, but you can't let that dictate to you what you do in your business. So if you don't understand, write them. Write their support and ask them, what does this mean? What exactly does this mean? And what I like to do is I like to say, somebody writes me a response, and I don't really fully understand what they're saying. I don't mind appearing like a dummy. I will say, but okay, so to clarify, here's what I think you're saying, and I will write back to them, and I'll tell them what I think they're saying. And typically, people will write you back and say, no, that's not quite what I mean, right? So always clarify exactly what they mean in the right certificate, because all that's going to dictate how much change you got to do, and what you might need to do, what you want to do. So you don't have no idea what you're going to want to change until you understand exactly what you can and cannot change. Now, what I will say is that this. Now, if you have, let's say, different PLR products on different subjects, there's typically no rule against combining products, but read the right certificate just to make sure. And I'm not saying you got to go back, you got to ask the vendor, hey, can I combine these two? I don't think you have to do that. But if they have something explicit in their right certificate and you can't combine products, you can't do stuff like that, you just make sure. So just again, all this comes back down to read the right certificate, understand what it's saying, and then go forward from there. In some cases, you can use the sales copy from your PLR to do other stuff with. You can't sell it, right? So, unless you have something like resale rights, unless they say you can sell it, you can't go selling the sales copy, but you can use it in other products. So just because you have a PLR product on Facebook Let's say you like the sales letter. Well, you can use that same sales letter to sell a Twitter product, right? If you want to change the words. And again, the AI makes this easy, right? We can put that whole entire sales letter for Facebook inside of one of them, right? One of the AIs, right? Bing, Bard, Chat GPT, whatever, right? And then we can change it into something that we want, right? So again, that sales copy is really, if you really understand it, if you really want to understand what your assets are inside of a PLR product, one of the most valuable assets that you have is not just the actual content, it's actually the sales copy. Because we can take that sales copy, we can really make that, and especially now, we can remake that sales copy into anything that we want. We can save a lot of time, depending on the nature of the sales copy, and do things that would take us a long time to do if we did it ourselves. That the same thing goes with the sales video. Now, one thing you want to do is, you can take a sales letter and turn it into a sales video, but you can also take the content of the sales video and turn it into content that you want. Very important right now. And so this is kind of new, but don't assume you can clone anybody else's voice. And that's whether or not it's PLR or not. Or you can use their image, right? Don't assume that you can use somebody's likeness in order to create something else. I'm saying I'm pretty sure there's no way that you can get caught. There's no way it can be enforced. There's no way that anybody can, come after you. But I'm just saying, don't assume you can use anybody else's voice to do voice cloning. Don't assume you can use anybody else's image to create something else, right? So don't do that unless again you have the rights to do that. If it says explicitly that's something you can do, then yes, I would say yes. But if it doesn't, you're probably going to want to clarify if you think that's something that you want to do. There's so many ways to be able to find an AI voice. If you just want to find one, you don't have to clone anybody else's voice. So I'm going to say just don't even go down that road unless you're cloning your own voice. Right now, that's something you can do, which is I know that there are applications where you can upload your own voice, and then you can reproduce it so that you can do, right? You can do an AI voice of your own. So again, um, now here's the final rule that I'm just going to kind of leave you with in the age of AI. It's very important, and because nobody knows where the law is going to shake down on all this stuff. Nobody knows how people are going to start approaching information product creators. Nobody knows how people are going to start approaching people with blogs or anything like that. The ink is not yet dry. Nobody knows. Anybody that tells you they know or they're predicting things, they don't know, right? Because first of all, there's no universal body on AI. There's no universal body on search. There's no universal body on the internet. So nobody is running it, right? There's no one, set of counsel that's running everything. So if you're going to use, let's say you get some interview content, when in doubt, or anything you get from something else, from somebody else, you didn't come up with it, cite, cite, right? Give references. Now, I'm going to say, be generous, right? Nobody cares if you got it from somebody else. You say, oh, no, I can't tell them that I got it from this source and they're going to go get it themselves. No, if somebody buys from you, it's an air of authority about some of the things you actually read in order to make some of the stuff you do. So if you get something from somebody, cite it, right? Be overly generous when you are using the work of others. And again, that's going to be very, very important as time goes forward, specifically in this new age that we're in, where some of the AIs and some of the chat, they're going to get information. It's great information. It's just that nobody gets credited for it depending on what you use. And even if you use Microsoft Bing or Google Bard, they cite stuff, but sometimes it's wrong, and they'll just make up stuff. They'll just make up stuff, right? So be careful about how you do your research. And whenever you got to do research, whether you get it from a YouTube video, whatever you're putting together, make sure that you are citing your source, right? Make sure you're saying this is where you got it from. Credit the individual that came up with some of the terms. Okay, any questions? Any questions? I think I got you out of here in 30 minutes. Any questions? Any questions about the hackathon? Any questions about what we're doing? Any questions? Now, I may make this publicly available, this session, just this orientation session, but still, in terms of questions, I'm going to place this in the Q&A area, in the mastermind area. I'm also going to upload it to Harper Academy. If you have any questions, please ask about this session individually. Please ask those questions here, and I'm happy to answer them. Right? Any questions at all? Any questions on anything I went over? All right, well, if not, thank you very much for hanging out with me here. Could have been doing anything on a Tuesday night, but you chose to spend it with me, so I appreciate it. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.